The Russian ambassador and the Chinese ambassador can help govern your capital through the right to vote. Heck, they could bring in to their embassy, every Chinese national in the embassy could become a voter. Now, one of the big issues that have popped up online after this was the issue of voting, because people see millions of illegal aliens coming through, and they're wondering what's going on here, and will it undermine election security further? And I've highlighted, and even Elon Musk has taken note of this. He's been quite, what do they call it, red-pilled on these issues. Now, if you click back, there was a tweet of a woman, congressman, I believe, talking about wanting more illegal aliens in her jurisdiction to increase power, or aliens to increase power. And if I recall correctly, Musk said, "Is this legal? Is that legal?" Yeah. So there it is. Congresswoman saying the quiet part out loud, "I need more people in my district just for redistricting purposes." And Musk said, "Is this legal?" Okay, so this is how I responded. Go next to that, because I'm going to need to use the screen to read it to folks. So click on my tweet there. President Trump's effort. So this is what had happened. So I described quite directly here what the issues are. President Trump's efforts to exclude illegal aliens from being considered for purposes of congressional apportionment was stymied by the courts. Opponents of considering the number of aliens for purposes of apportionment, I'm going to come closer to the screen so I can see it better, highlight how voters in congressional districts with high numbers of aliens effectively have more political power than citizens in districts with fewer aliens. One man, one vote is undermined. Do you understand how that works? It means that if there are congressmen with fewer voters in their district, right? Of eligible voters in their district, because they have large number of aliens who don't vote, in theory. And so those voters have more power in the House than voters who are in districts with lesser numbers of aliens, because the vote is distributed more broadly in places where there are more citizens. Supporters highlight how the Constitution requires all persons be included in the census and for purposes of apportionment. Now, the left also thwarted, by the way, President Trump's attempts to include a citizenship question in the 2020 census. They didn't even want Trump asking how many aliens were here. There's no doubt that the increasing foreign-born population has a significant impact on congressional representation. In 2019, the Center for Immigration Studies concluded that at least 26 seats in the House would be shifted after the 2020 census due to this foreign population. CIS estimated of the 26 seats that will be lost, 24 from states that voted for Donald Trump in 2016. And now, as I note, I haven't seen any numbers about how the Biden border invasion will affect the next census and congressional reapportionment. But unless these new foreign non-citizens leave or are removed by 2030, or unless the law is changed, one can expect a substantial and potentially historic impact on congressional representation, mostly to the benefit of Democratic-controlled states. Now, Musk responded to that. He saw that, and he replied, or quoted it further. Extremely concerning, given the recent massive influx of illegal immigrants exceeds babies born in the United States. Now, the left went crazy over that. But that's the reality of it. I fairly described what the debate is. The debate is, what happens to our right to vote? Is it diluted and kind of distorted as a result of large numbers of foreign nationals living in the United States? Now, the left has a solution to that, guys. You know what they want? They want them all to be able to vote. They don't want to limit the franchise to citizens. They want to expand the franchise to include foreign nationals. So all those folks you're concerned about, Well, they're not concerned. They see them as potential voters. Not waiting for them to become citizens, but right now. Here in the District of Columbia, they changed the rules. Now, national elections, non-citizens can't vote. But localities can let non-citizens vote, or they have. Whether they can under law, I think is questionable, but they have, including here in the District of Columbia, which allows non-citizens to vote. So I want you to think about this. Your nation's capital, okay, is governed by a mayor and a D.C. council, okay? It's the nation's capital. The federal government's based here. Congress is based here. The president, the White House is based here. We have a massive diplomatic corps, foreign ambassadors here. All of them, in theory, would be able to vote in the District of Columbia. So the Russian ambassador and the Chinese ambassador can help govern your capital through the right to vote. Heck, they could bring in to their embassy, every Chinese national in the embassy could become a voter. In theory, under this new law here in the District of Columbia, which, by the way, Congress also hasn't done anything about, even though Congress constitutionally runs the District of Columbia, our nation's capital. So where they get the chance, they dilute the vote of American citizens by allowing non-citizens to vote, including illegal aliens. So they're not just trying to limit this to green card holders. Green card holders are essentially permanent residents of the United States who are foreign nationals. And the thinking is after a certain number of years, they are eligible to become citizens. No, they're not doing that. If you're here long enough and you're a foreign national, you can vote in some of these jurisdictions. So what's going to happen when there are 10 million more foreign nationals? As I note, there's not only a distortion in how Congress is apportioned, but it provides a contingent of voters for politicians at the local level where these laws are being changed. So what's happening, my guess is in places like New York, my understanding generally is, New York and California generally are losing population, losing residents in terms of citizens leaving, but they're protected from losing congressional seats because the foreign-born population, the foreign national population is increasing. And under the current law, they get credit for that in terms of their congressional representation. So that's mitigated their terrible policies that are causing Americans to leave. Don't result in less congressional representation necessarily, or it's mitigated. And Elon is also focused on, and I've been trying to educate Americans through my Twitter feed on this as well. And again, through this broadcast here, is that non-citizens, it's virtually impossible to let me be careful here. Non-citizens can easily vote illegally in federal elections. Why is that? Because there's no citizenship verification in order to register to vote. All there is on the federal form that states are required to use is a question: are you a citizen? Yes or no. Now, if you falsely attest that you are a citizen, you are subject to prosecution. But that assumes someone catches you and they investigate every form to make sure it's accurate. But no one asks you when you fill that form out, well, show me you're a citizen. Provide me a record showing you're a citizen. And then once they are registered to vote, if the alien, whether they be illegal or legal alien, lawfully present or unlawfully present alien, if they register to vote, they're essentially in like Flint, because even in a state where voter ID is required, aliens will often have the voter ID necessary to vote, even if they're illegally registered. So what's the solution there? Voter ID is not enough. Asking people to affirm they're a citizen is not enough, especially when you have countless millions of non-citizen individuals here in the United States. But there's got to be a better way, and the better way is to verify citizenship in order to allow someone to register to vote and then vote. Now, the left disapproves of that. They don't like voter ID. They don't like anyone asking anyone for their citizenship proof in order to vote. And on top of everything else, we've got the mail-in balloting, which makes it nearly impossible to detect voter fraud and intimidation. We have third parties collecting ballots through ballot harvesting. Republicans, it seems to me, spend more time thinking of how to take advantage of that process rather than end it, which ballot harvesting is an affront and an abomination to free and fair elections. And they don't spend as much energy as they should, honest Republicans and Democrats, trying to stop that fraudulent or potentially fraudulent activity, or activity that invites fraud in a way that undermines confidence in the elections that can never be recovered. So I hope you have a better understanding of how the invasion of illegal aliens can impact your right to vote, can impact your representation in Congress, impact the power of your individual vote, and undermine election integrity. Because the left would have you believe no aliens are voting. And of course they are. They're voting illegally. They do it. It's rarely checked. I mean, you don't enforce the law, then you say, well, no one's breaking the law. I mean, that's the left's approach on voter fraud. Well, there's no serious investigations to assure that non-citizens aren't voting. So, I mean, I think there are 40 million adults who are not eligible to vote in the United States, last I checked. It's tens of millions in the least. None of them are voting? That's not serious. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.